Hello, you all. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm Emma Churchman, and I'm about to tell you something that most people do not get about being published. 14 months ago, I had a partial manuscript for a memoir I had been working on and off. I didn't have an agent, no industry connections, no professional writing background. And within 10 months, I landed 3 book contracts with a traditional publisher where they acquired the books and paid for everything. And it wasn't because I was the best writer in the room. It's not because I'm a unicorn and I'm lucky. And it's not because I paid to play or because I was self published, but because I understood something that most aspiring authors completely miss. And here's the thing, if you're watching this right now, you probably either have a book inside of you, or you've been sitting on it for years, or it's sitting in a computer file somewhere. And what I want you to know is that there is a framework that got me to where I am. And more importantly, I'm going to show you what's actually stopping most good books from ever seeing print. Let's start here. Let me ask you something. How many times have you heard that you need to be famous in order to get published, or that you need a massive platform, or have an agent, or have a connection with the top 5 publishing houses firms in New York? I believe that too, and it kept me stuck for years. But what's interesting is that what I figured out is that publishers do not reject good books because they're not well written. They reject them because authors do not understand what publishers actually want. Let me say that again because it takes a minute for that to set in. Publishers do not reject good books because they are not well written. They reject them because authors do not understand what publishers want. And that's the gap that I'm going to close for you today. So I want you to think about it this way. If you walked into a publisher's office today and you said, I wrote a book about resilient leadership, which is actually what I'm writing a book about right now, they would probably smile politely and say, not interested. But if you walked in and said, I built a platform of 30,000 people, my book addresses a $2 billion market cap, and here's my proof of concept, now you've got their attention. The difference is not talent, it is clarity and strategy. So, what is it that publishers actually want? They want 3 things, and I want you to write these down because they are gold. The first thing is they want a clear why. Not just, I want to write this book, but why this book and why now? What's the personal story behind the book? What problem does the book solve? Why are you the person to write this book? And get honest with yourself here for a minute. Do you know the answers to those questions off the top of your head? If you were to find yourself in an elevator with the head of a publishing company, could you share that information? Because that's where you need to be, that level of clarity. Publishers invest in authors who have conviction. They want to feel your passion and your purpose, because that passion, that's what's going to carry you through the entire publishing process. And it is what will sell books. The number 2 thing that you need is sharp, market-driven positioning. And this is where most authors fall apart. They think positioning is just a catchy tagline or subtitle for their book. And it's not. It's understanding your book's place in the market. Who is the book for? What makes it different from the 500 other books on the same topic? How does it solve a specific problem? When you can articulate that clearly, agents and publishers see you as a professional. They see someone who has thought this through. And then the third thing that you need is proof of audience. And this is where a lot of people panic because they think, well, I don't have a huge platform. And I get it. But here's the thing, you don't need 100,000 followers on TikTok, right? You need proof that people care about what you have to say. That could be an email list of 2,000 engaged subscribers, or a podcast with loyal listeners, or speaking engagements, or media appearances, or social media followers who actually interact with your content. Publishers want to know that you can help sell the book and that people listen to you. And this is true for every author out there, right? There's not some author who somehow is immune to this. Even big names like Elizabeth Gilbert, Brene Brown, Glennon Doyle, they do their own marketing, right? Authors these days are responsible for helping get the word out about their books. And if you don't have the platform yet, that's okay, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. I want to walk you for a minute through my own journey because it's the clearest example of how this works. So, about 15 months ago in September 2024, Hurricane Helene hit Western North Carolina, where I live, and my community was devastated. We didn't have power. We didn't have internet. We didn't have roads. We didn't have water. We didn't have food. No one showed up from the outside to help us for 4 days. It was insane what was going on here. And this went on for weeks and weeks and months. And I was on the ground in my community volunteering as a trauma chaplain, helping people in real time. So every morning I would bushwhack 3 miles down my mountain to get to the fire station. I would spend the day helping people who were very traumatized, who had lost their homes or their cars or family members or anything. And then I'd hike at the end of the day 3 miles back up the mountain and make some food and go to bed in the dark because we didn't have power, right? And I was noticing that how the media was portraying what happened in the wake of Hurricane Helene was very different than what was actually happening on the ground. So I did something very simple. I started posting daily on Facebook, boots on the ground, real stories, what I was seeing, what I was doing, how people were suffering and surviving. No filter, just the truth. And y'all, at this time, I didn't actually have a filter, right? Because I was going through my own trauma from the hurricane and the reality of our environment, but also because my brother Alex died by suicide 8 months prior to the hurricane. And my brother Bryce died by suicide 2 weeks after the hurricane, right? So there was a lot going on. And something unexpected happened with these daily Facebook posts. Thousands of people started following my story because it was completely different than what the mainstream media was portraying. And I thought, more people need to know about this. Like, let's get this into the media. So I did a little research and I saw that The Guardian out of the UK had put out a call for boots on the ground stories about Hurricane Helene. So I submitted a pitch with a link to my Facebook page. And within 24 hours, a journalist from The Guardian reached out asking for a conversation. So we had a 20-minute call. And during that time, I pitched my story in such a compelling way that The Guardian completely changed their original concept. They were planning to feature 4 people impacted by Helene, but after they talked to me, they decided to make the entire article about me and my community. The article came out a couple weeks later, and then suddenly even more people were reading my daily Facebook posts. And then something really amazing happened. People started commenting, "Hey, Emma, you need to write a book about all this." And I remember thinking, I don't even have power in my house right now. Like, how am I going to find a publisher or an agent? So I did what I had been doing all along. I pitched the concept. Listen for that key word. I pitched the concept on social media. And within 24 hours, a publisher reached out. They apparently had been following my story the whole time. They saw the Guardian article. They saw my Facebook post. They knew this was something that people wanted. It was timely. It was intriguing. It was a unique angle. I was able to share a perspective that was not seen in mainstream media. So I signed a contract with the publisher within a week. and that publisher acquired the book. And y'all, I didn't even know what the word acquired meant at this point. So let me explain it to you. It means that the publisher paid for everything related to the book: the editing, the layout and design, the audiobook recording, the marketing, the distribution. And these days, even traditional publishers like mine charge authors to do all of that at a cost of $30,000 or more, right? So all three of my books now have been acquired by that publisher. And my books are available everywhere on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, bookshop.org, in local and national bookstore chains, at Target, at Walmart, right? Everywhere, because the publisher's distributor has a really big reach. I am not a unicorn. I am not lucky. I was very strategic in my approach with my publisher. So my first book, The Deep End of Hope in the Wake of Hurricane Helene, became one of the first books on the market to be published about the hurricane. And here's what's really important here. I did not go through an agent. I don't have a massive TikTok audience. I didn't even have a query letter. What I had was a solid angle and pitch, an engaged audience, a unique story to tell. I knew exactly how to pitch myself and my story. That's the system. That's what actually works. And there's so much more to that story, the details, the strategy, the exact moves that I made. And that's what the framework is all about, right? Knowing it is one thing, but understanding how to execute it, that changes everything. And again, remember, I'm not a unicorn. I wasn't lucky. I was strategic. So here's the framework. I'm going to give you the overview today, but if you want the full breakdown and the hands-on support, stick around because I'm going to tell you about something special at the end of this. So the first step that you need to do is to clarify your why. This is very personal work. Why are you writing this book? What is the story behind it? What transformation do you want your reader to experience? Get specific, get emotional, get clear. The second step is to nail your positioning. This is market work. You need to understand your book's place in the market. Who is your ideal reader? It's not everyone who enjoys nonfiction, right? It's got to be more specific than that. It's not everyone who likes Game of Thrones, right? Like, it's got to be specific. And what problem does your book solve? What makes it different? And can you say all of that in one sentence? Do you have a log line? If not, you're not ready to pitch yet. And then the third step is to build your platform. This is the visibility work. You need proof that people care. That doesn't mean you need to be famous. It means you need to be consistent, authentic, and strategic about where to show up. If you do these three things, you are 90% of the way there. Publishers will take you seriously. Agents will want to represent you, and your book will actually get published instead of sitting in your computer. But here's the thing, knowing the framework and being able to execute it are two different things. And that's where most people get stuck. So here's what I want to invite you into. On Monday, January 12th, I'm hosting a $47 masterclass called Land a Book Contract in 2026. In 60 minutes, you're going to get the following: the 3 critical steps to get a publisher's attention, even if you're not famous; how to craft a pitch that stands out from the slush pile; the biggest mistakes aspiring authors make and how to avoid them; insider strategies to get agents and editors excited about your book; how to clarify your why, the foundation of every successful book pitch; and the first thing that I help my clients with, the difference between a generic pitch and a market-driven positioning statement, and why publishers care about this; why your platform matters and how to start building yours now. And then we're going to have live Q&A so you can get your questions answered directly by me. And I am very committed to that, because if I knew now what everything that I know about the publishing world, which is a lot, 3 books into this, if I had known that 15 months ago, 14 months ago when I started, whew, it would have been a lot less heavy lifting. So I want you all to bring your questions. But here's the real thing. If you're serious about getting published in 2026, the masterclass is just the beginning. Because after you take it, you're going to realize that you need support. You're going to have questions. You're going to want feedback on your positioning. You're going to want accountability. And that's exactly why I created the Book Contract Blueprint Intensive. It starts January 15th. It's a 5-week group program where we go deep. We've got 5 75-minute Zoom sessions. You're going to clarify your why, develop your positioning, build your platform, walk away with a publisher-ready proposal, and know exactly how to negotiate your contract. But first, I want you to come to this masterclass. See if this is for you, get the framework, and then decide if you want to go deeper. Again, the masterclass is just $47. The link is in the comments, or you can go to emmachurchman.com/book-masterclass. It's Monday, January 12th from noon to 1 p.m. Eastern. A replay will be up for 72 hours. Let me close with this. Your story matters. Your book matters. And the world needs to know what you have to say. But it's not going to happen by accident. It's not going to happen because you finally find the right agent or the right publisher. It's going to happen because you get clear, you get strategic, and you take action. That is what is going to position you as a thought leader. That is what is going to open doors to a massive audience for you, to media coverage, to speaking on national stages, to podcast interviews, to having customers searching for you, not the other way around. And that's exactly what I experienced as soon as my first book came out, February 1st, 2025, floodgates opened. So I want to help you do that too. So here's what I want you to do right now. 1, comment below and tell me, what's your book idea? What's your book about? What's the story behind it? I want to hear what you're thinking about. 2, grab your spot in the masterclass on Monday, January 12th. Go to emmachurchman.com/book-masterclass. I'll put the link in the comments below as well. And then 3, share this live with someone you know who's been talking about writing a book, because they need this too. All right, y'all, seriously, we're at the beginning of the year. Do not let another year go by where you're still saying to yourself, hey, it would be so great to write a book someday. I will see you on January 12th. Many blessings to you.